Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything DFK and keeping it casual. My name is Matty Pesk. As always, tonight I am joined by Franz and Guy Kid. Boys, how we doing?
Sip of sunshine. Looking good over there.
Yeah, I need it. It was one of those days. Had a rough day at work. It was one of those days where, I really should have just lived out my dream of going to the NHL. Never should have given up on it. But we got some DFK to talk about. So
I remember. Sorry,
go. You go. I was gonna say there's still time to be a curler or a professional badminton player.
So we've talked about this, and I think a lot in chat would agree. Like, if you told me today, like, you have a shot, like, take your shot at curling, and, like, you have the next 6 months to, like, practice every day, like, I eat, breathe curling.
I would do that. Yeah, for sure.
Badminton, I don't know.
No, badminton, you gotta have the talent. That's not something you can just pick up, All right.
But,
well,
like, hold on. The sweepers in curling, like, I don't even need to throw
everybody rotates. Everybody does every job.
You sure about that?
Maybe not. I thought they did. I thought it was like a rotation.
Schuster was our captain. He always threw the rock.
He was the anchor. Everyone throws a certain number of rocks.
Yeah, I think he might throw more, but like, yeah.
I'll have to learn the rock throwing then. But like,
exactly. Or the sweeping.
I think you got to learn it all.
What really is involved in the sweeping?
I think just not falling down. Like you're on ice, so like I feel like just not falling.
Yeah,
right. I feel like did we hit the?
All right, yeah, we got a lot to talk about though. We have new content. We have new content to talk about with DFK.
New content.
I'm very excited about it. Expeditions went live, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Guy Kid has control of the.
I will be clicking buttons throughout the night.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then we got updated traits for our heroes that will hopefully be added when PvP goes live. And we're going to go through all of them and maybe do a tier list. I know others have talked about it, but we're going to talk about it too because we love seeing those traits with those updated where they're formatted there. All right, but let's get into the first topic of expeditions. This has been a long time coming. The team has talked about this forever. They're live now. What are your guys' thoughts?
Guy, you want to go first, or?
I think they're a great addition. I've already moved over 100 heroes into expeditions.
Ooh.
And high level, I really like what it does. It just simplifies questing. There's a bucket of heroes that I have now that aren't really leveling or anything at all. So just having them on autopilot questing is perfect for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have not moved too many heroes over yet. I've tried it out. I have just a hint of OCD, and I am like knees deep in my hero list, like looking at every hero, deciding who's going to go on expeditions, who's not. I'm like doing a total reorg. But I did use the stam potting. It is so fast. It's so fast. Like early levels, I would say up until like level 10, it gets to like 2 hours towards 3 hours. But anything under level 10 is like under an hour to do.
That's crazy. Wild.
Yeah. Like I just made a day that I set some timers and I just leveled up a good hero all day. It was great.
What are your thoughts on expeditions versus something we've talked about on this podcast that we use, DFK Helper, the bot? What are your thoughts on comparing doing expeditions versus continuing your classic questing with a bot?
Yeah,
I'm keeping Helper. Go for it.
I think there's a lot of things that Helper does that Expeditions does not. Expeditions is really quest, set it and forget it. But if you want to link hunts in, if you want to link leveling and summoning and tavern alerts, and I really thought this was going to be my turning point where I was going to grab 5-10 heroes that I want to sell on the market, and I'm going to manually sell them on my end. I've got one right now, and that's already enough work for me. So I'm still going to have Helper do my tavern auto sales as well.
Yeah. So I used to have pets on all my heroes. I sold all of them. I took all of them off because the idea of feeding them, and they were always being fed at different times. It seemed like with my 800 heroes that the bot was taking care of, I was putting like this added strain on it. And I was seeing like a lot of pets weren't getting fed the right way. And it was a lot, right? I thought the bot worked a lot smoother when I took those pets off. I think the bot's going to work even smoother when I send all of my level 10 foragers, fishers, gardeners, miners that I have no intention of leveling up any further over to expeditions and letting it focus on heroes I really want to grow. I have my crafters on there because I'm going to keep leveling them. Auto summons with the Gen Zeros, starting my hunts. So basically, it's like Helper has been like shouldering the load for my army for so long. I'm now giving it like a little break, but it's still leading the way.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that too. Of like, I really think we all said day one when the three of us got into DFK of like, you want to level your heroes for PvP. But now that I look at my wallet, 70-80% of my wallet, all they're going to be doing is questing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there's a ratio that will exist at some point of how many questers do you need to feed your PvP heroes and things like that. And I think Expeditions is a great step towards that kind of game loop.
Yeah. It's seamless. And I don't think it's an either or. I mean, maybe it is for some people, Helper or Expeditions.
Well, my next question was cost. I mean,
yeah,
our expeditions. I'm assuming there's the S jewel and the C jewel, but then there's also things additionally that you can add to that. Is it more cost efficient to quest with the Helper with like a bot, or to do the expeditions? Or is that probably doesn't have a clear cut answer? I know.
Well, no, I think Helper's. Because Helper, it's a flat rate, right?
Right.
It's gonna. So the more you pack on it, I'm sure there's a break even point there.
Right.
Expeditions, you're paying as you go. I don't really know as far as the costs associated with it.
Yeah,
they're small. I could say that with confidence, but like relative to just questing normally, like it's an added cost that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
But it's a lot less gas too. I think it's going to take someone smarter than us to really run those numbers. But it doesn't feel too expensive to me. For some people it does. Like we have Cassius in the chat right now. Expeditions are too expensive. So
yeah, but
I don't think there's enough time.
I've got basically 150 heroes just doing expeditions, not doing the gravity feeder or stand pots. Something's printing in the background, so that'll be fun. But it's only 50 Sigil.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but it's also the fee to do each quest.
Right. So, yeah. If you go, I can visualize that too. Of like what is the jewel cost for an expedition? This is the escrow item, so that's not the right answer. But yeah, every expedition costs some level of jewel. It's like 0.0002 jewel per stamina.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note too, like, I don't know, we've been kind of clear on this pod that like we weren't too excited for expeditions, kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But there is that benefit, and I forget who shouted out in chat. It might have been Code Green last week, but it does make gas go down. Like it's going to be a lot less strain on the blockchain because we're not going to have millions of transactions a minute or whatever the hell the number is, right? So that's good.
Well, and also too, I mean, obviously I keep comparing it to Helper. That's just like the bot that all of us use. But it's a sort of automation, might be the wrong word for it, but like it's a built-in feature in the game. So you don't have to use a third party and don't have to give up your private keys. Even though, I trust Zealous and the DFK Helper team, but this way, I mean, that's sort of what you're paying for. It's an in-game feature. That's why there's that little jewel cost. So,
and Guy was saying this a little bit, or starting the conversation. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but before we were on the show, of like, is it better to just not quest? Like seriously, right? Like if all these items are still inflationary, and I think we're gonna see some change in that. They talked about that a lot in the AMA, that like they have more plans for heroes, they have more plans for these items. Sure, they might get to a point where like it's more profitable, but right now, if it's not making dollars and cents, like why not just not quest? A lot of us, unless you want to level up a hero, different story, but a lot of us are questing heroes that the XP isn't of any value to us.
These 100 heroes I moved over are level 10 and not going to level 11.
Right.
So I'm not getting anything from an experience gain perspective. But I do have them still questing because I feel I'm going to want these in-game items as they continue to grow. But this is what we were talking about earlier that was tied to that conversation offline. We're still very much in an item inflation environment. The game loop started, that potions have started. We'll see what weapons do from a gold sink and things like that. But at the end of the day, there's way more gold going into the ecosystem. There's way more, ragweed and whatever else that's being going in.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can make an argument. Maybe it doesn't make sense to quest at this point.
I mean, and I think sometimes the idea of not questing, it's the fear of missing out, right?
Yeah, sure.
Things are going to change, but
falling behind, like
for those of us here that are so in tune with the game and the ecosystem, like, is something going to take us by surprise to that level where we're going to miss a change in move of all these items? I'd like to think not.
I hope too, when crafting becomes a thing, that'll kind of change the whole item ecosystem. Sure. So,
right. It's the idea for me of like, I'm gathering these items now because I think that they're going to have more utility in the future. The team's talked about, unless you think the team is going to just keep ignoring the inflation of items, like, which, I mean, I guess you could say that there's evidence that they have to this point, right? Yeah. But I think they seem to understand that they need to change that at some point. And so that's kind of what I'm banking on.
No, I think they want, and that's something that I think that Hubert and the game team is like very much thinking about, is that loop of like, making sure that these items are not just purely inflationary and have some sort of sink and some sort of cycle that makes them, I don't know, that gives them a use
valuable
case. Yeah.
Right.
More sinks.
Exactly. And I'm crafting is going to do that, because also they talked about like intermediary items, like, you need this much whatever to form, the lumber or whatever, you know what I mean? Like intermediate items that like add to more like use of the like raw materials. So,
and also it's today, how many heroes are battling per heroes that exist right now? Like, one of the ways you can increase item utility is just increase the potions created by increasing the number of matches that are created. Like, that could be the entire loop before crafting in these
more players.
And they said on the AMA, they're expecting a large portion of but a lot of heroes to go over to Metis.
Yeah.
Can't quest on Metis. So that's going to take them out of the ecosystem.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm not too worried about it overall. One thing I did want to touch upon, and we talked about this a little bit. Shout out to I Know Kung Fu. He was talking about this on our guild chat. But so the difference between what happens to the jewel now that happens, for expeditions, as opposed to what happened to gas. That was, where all the quests were going previously. So gas fee distribution, 25% is given to the validators, 25% sent to the quest fund, 50% burned. Okay, pretty simple, right? 25 validators, which is essentially the team. So 25% to the team, 25% to quest fund, 50% burned. The expeditions now go 50% to the development team, 30% to the quest fund, 15% to the jeweler rewards, the stakers, and 5% burned. So,
and that is part of that little fee we were talking about of stamina to jewel ratio, right? Of each expedition cycle, right?
Right. The Jewel just stays there. They're not
Yeah.
doing anything with that. But like, so essentially, so burned went from 50% to 5%. So a lot less Jewel being burned. Jewel rewards,
more
the
to the
staking
team.
rewards.
I'm fine with that.
1,000%.
The staking rewards went from 0 to 15%, so they're getting a little bit. Quest fund went up by 5%, and the development fund went up by 25%, which
Yeah.
I kind of had the same sentiment as you guys. Is like, hey, they need this money right now. Good, great,
Right.
wonderful.
And I've kind of had in the back of my head of like, do we have too many burn mechanics for Jewel right now? Of like, you know, what's the kind of the life cycle of Jewel based on current burn rates?
The
Like,
people in
anyone that looks at price of Jewel will be like, yeah, there's no way we have not enough Jewel coming around. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was going to say the people in price discussion wouldn't agree with you there.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's
burn
different.
it all.
Again,
Yeah.
different mindset if you're trying to trade Jewel and you're trying to play it as like, you know, as a trade, essentially.
As a game token.
Yeah.
Versus if you're actually trying to trade it, correct?
Right. So, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Shout out, I know Kung Fu. I didn't ask him if I can use that as podcast content, but sorry.
Appreciate the contribution.
It's too late now.
I hope everyone in ADFK needs to know that the private chat. France shares.
No.
Every episode, you share some of the private chat.
But it's always something. It's never private strategy stuff. There's been some stuff said in there I would never say on here.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, damn right.
All right, cool. What else we got on expeditions?
So I kind of mentioned like I've got all my level 10 guys here that aren't leveling. Franz, you doing anything different other than that? Like what heroes are going to go towards expeditions?
So I just bought a lot of pets, and I'm sorting through, and the highest profession stat heroes are going to get pets. Keen Eye, specifically on the foragers. Guy is chosen. The runic discoveries, the higher value ones, but foragers, are getting them. And now I'm starting with gardeners a little bit. I don't know how profitable that is with gardeners, but like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me to put it on for such a long period of time, like a set it and forget it, without putting on the pet. It's no additional jewel for the pet, you know? Well, you have to stake a little bit more in the beginning. You have to stake 100 jewel to use it. But after that, what's that, $10? After that, it's not like each iteration costs more when you have a pet. It just costs the treats, and the treats come from the items that, as we said, are worthless.
It'll pay for itself eventually. Are you guys finding a difference?
Earlier, and he just said it better.
Right.
And it's not like no gas is being had anymore. Like there's still gas, just a lot less transactions. Maddie, you were going to say something.
Are you finding a difference between the different quest types for your expeditions?
I haven't done it well.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. It's too early.
It's been like a few days. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah. All right. Very good. Are we ready to move to traits, which I'm more excited to talk about, clearly?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Let's do it. So shout out Mega. We're using his tier list, and he was just frantically sending it to me because I couldn't find it on Twitter. So,
right, Guy, did you get that? Do you want to pull that up?
I need the link.
It's in our Discord.
I have the link.
I shouldn't say that. That's a super secret Discord.
So wait. So I think we need to set some ground. We need to set some ground rules here.
Yeah, we should talk about what we're doing here.
Yeah, what are we doing?
So, all of the traits, passive and active, they gave kind of the official. I think this is the official. I think it's fair to say that word. Official description of what they're going to be, how they're going to work in PvP, and hypothetically in PvE, right? We're assuming that's how this is going to work too.
Yeah. Well, they did mention that whether or not they were going to turn up the
right in the last AMA. Yeah,
sounded like no. So
we're going to go through and we're going to create a tier list here. I think. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it called? The rubric. Rubric was the word I was looking for. The rubric we're using here is sort of like, how excited are we to use these moves in PvP? How do we think they're going to be good? And also, I have to incorporate the basic versus basic versus advanced. Like if it's an advanced and it's not better than the basic, I'm gonna rate it a little bit lower. Is that a fair way? Like you guys would look at this?
Okay, so just first off, this rubric was not discussed. You just went off the cuff there.
Yeah, I know. I'm making this up right now. Yeah.
Also, I think we should define: are we talking about once everything's out and what we think other classes are going to be able to do? Or are we saying in the context of these 6 classes, with the equipment we have, with the moves we have?
I'd say let's just go with the 6 classes.
PvP day 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's just go with, especially because we've played with the classes and we know, a little bit of how it works.
Right, but like I don't know, like I might want to rate something a little higher if like.
Right, I agree.
I don't know, like a double toxic thief is something I think we all agree is going to be pretty good. I don't know.
Oh, we'll talk about toxic. We're probably going to spend an hour talking about. So let's wait on that.
Let's do it.
But yeah, but basically, like, do we think these moves are going to be? If you put this on a PvP hero, what would you rather have on the PvP hero? If going through all of these, S being like that's absolutely the best for the PvP hero, right? I think that's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah. So real quick, and because I think chat's going to be like playing along with us here, go to the passives, or go to either the actives or the passives, right? Actually, actives is better. So,
what? And I do want to note, and we'll talk about it as we're going through them, but some of these have been changed since they originally showed them to us, like many moons ago. Most of them are very slight changes. Obviously, like speed was changed kind of dramatically. Last Stand was not dramatically, but Last Stand kind of changed too a little bit. Death Mark a teeny bit. So there's a lot of changes, and I don't want that to influence my rating because I think some got nerfed a little bit harder than others. But I don't know. We'll see. Mm-hmm. But I think let's just go through it, and we'll just say it's moves that we want on our heroes. That's kind of the key thing that we're looking at. All right, is that a fair way to look at this? You think? Say
that last part again.
It's what traits do we want on our PvP heroes? Like what is like when I see this move, it's like, oh, I want this one on my hero. Is like I absolutely have to have this one.
Yeah, I think like if it's a move that we can see, we're gonna list out or kind of just.
Yeah, you guys realize we spent 8 minutes talking about how a tier class works, right?
We're preparing here, guy.
This is important. This is good content.
No. But real quick, like I'm sure we're gonna mention what heroes we think each of these would be good on. I think it gets a bump if we list out 7 of them rather than if there are 2 heroes we think it'd be good on.
Right. If it's universally good, that gives it a little. I agree with that. I agree.
Availability is the best ability.
Yes. I agree. Also, we're going to rate the actives and the passives as separate because, again, I think they're apples and oranges. I think just in general, passives are significantly better. I think it's a fair statement, right?
Yeah. I do want to argue Resurrection versus Second Life a little bit.
All right. Well,
let's later on when we get to them.
Yeah, let's wait on that because that is interesting. I mean, I think
Resurrection's getting shit on a little bit personally.
Why? What? I mean,
compared to Second Life,
so much better.
I'd say I'm not sure I agree. We can get to it.
We'll get to that. Let's start with the actives, guy.
We can do that.
Because
Green
also
has it down.
I know we might need to
tier list.
Yeah.
Why stop there? Because different subclasses.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just start. We're going to be grouping some together. I think obviously like the passives, the ones that are like almost exactly the same.
Why'd you just say we were starting with actives and you started talking about the passives?
No, I'm just saying like we're going to be grouping some together. I think when we talk about them, I think you can't
agendas don't matter.
I feel like
we're going to disagree a lot on.
You can't not talk about the first 2 together because they're both very similar but do the different effect.
Poison Blade versus Blinding Wind.
Yeah, I think.
Would you rather Poison Blade with Toxic or Blinding Winds? I guess by itself.
Well, obviously, yeah. No,
with these 2, you're right. They are the same move. It comes down to the different effects. They both have a potion that can dispel them.
Yep.
Right. So they both have like a counter in the bag.
Yeah.
For me, I think blind is better because poison, they have a little bit more flexibility. If they want to leave it on for a turn or two and finish a combo out that they were trying to do, they could do that. They could take, the first few hits of the poison. Whereas
Right.
blinding winds, you can like really interrupt what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still think it's not enough to put them on different tiers. I still think these are A. And I think I hope that's where you guys were thinking.
It's hard when you first start. I don't know about A.
I mean, we could
I was going to
readjust
say B.
it afterwards.
And also, like, B is good. B is average, solid.
All right, put them on B. Fine.
We can always rearrange. Rearrange.
All right, start them up. Put them on B.
Both blinding winds and poison.
Put blinding winds ahead of poison.
Right, right. Blinding winds is like the first B. I would agree. All right, heal. Heal is interesting. It's good. It's good for anybody.
I think
a
lot of people were talking
two,
smack about heal, and the fact this is a percent-based move, I think makes this a very powerful move. It's not none of this is intelligence-based or stat-based. It's literally just a move. So you're now talking about creating utility on your DPS heroes to have them have a significant heal at one point during your match.
Yeah, but your I guess. But isn't that a waste of a time on your DPS? Is it wasting a turn healing?
It's just as good, if not a better heal than your healers. So if you're going to do an all DPS team, maybe do 2 DPS and a tank.
So, all right. Also, quick note too, we should say power is either spell or basic attack, whatever is stronger. If I have a DPS guy who's got an insane attack score, I would much rather have one of the first 2 moves than heal.
It's all situation based, but
on my DPS, on the healer, I like it as maybe a bonus heal. I really like that. Or on the tank guy who's not necessarily doing a lot of damage, I really like this.
How many times have you done hunts and you used a health potion?
A couple times.
This is a health potion. That's not a potion.
I could see this. Are you suggesting A? Are you saying A or S? What was your suggestion here?
Oh, A.
All right.
I think it's better than blinding winds, but
I don't know if it's better than those attack moves. Those ones are really fun.
It's very different. I would throw it on B as well. Personally.
Yeah, I think it's a B.
All right. Well, you guys are wrong, but we'll throw it on B.
Let's start shaping out the list here, and then
we'll see. Yeah.
So far, it's a super exciting list.
All right, moving on.
I disagree with that.
So, how do we feel about cleanse?
I think cleanse is better than the heal, but certainly not S.
Honestly, when cleanse first came out, I was all
about it. The original cleanse, yes.
And now that we see like what cleanse does, of like the fact it's just cleanse and it's not cleanse and heal for 10%, like makes me feel like
Yeah,
friends.
I don't know. It feels kind of shitty. It feels the same way that it feels shitty when you use that priest tier 1 cleanse move. Like it's not purified.
All right.
Right?
Fair. I think it's fine to leave it there. I like a little bit more than you guys, but yeah, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, I don't like it.
How do we feel about Iron Skin?
So reduce physical damage taken by 10% for 80 ticks. So one thing I love about this, 80 ticks is absolutely bonkers. That's the entire fight.
So that's what I wanted to say before, and I forgot and had a little brain fart. So the anti-poison and the anti-blind, or I guess the anti-blind is the one that we know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's 50 ticks. So we've all done boar hunts, we've all used them, or bok hunts, we've all used them. Mm-hmm. 50 ticks. So next time you're doing a hunt, really pay attention to what that 50 ticks is.
Yeah.
It's on for a good portion of the bok fight.
Yeah.
80 feels like it could be, and we don't know how long PvP games are, but it seems like it could be for a while.
Yeah. Now, granted, this isn't a massive bonus, but it lasts a long time. I really like this. I think B, I don't know, especially on a tank.
It's only physical damage.
Maybe even A. I mean, have we seen any magic damage? Seer is the only one, really, right?
I think the highest I would go is C, and I'd rather go D.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It just doesn't do much for me.
So it's an
And Hardened
active
Shield
move.
is better.
It's an active move that mitigates
So
damage.
hold on. So if you're gonna put A, right? Let's skip around a little.
Yeah.
What's read me Hardened Shield.
I mean, I guess I'm only thinking.
Hardened Shield is an upgraded Iron Skin.
I
For
don't
less
know.
time.
Is it upgraded? It's half the amount of ticks. and only
magical
20%.
ends. Magical ends.
Oh, it's damage taken. It's all damage. Okay.
I mean,
All right,
you
I
can
guess
argue that
I'm
a
not
majority.
Yeah,
You can argue that a majority of the damage that we have right now is physical. Majority, but like I don't know if you're gonna put Iron Skin that high. Like I feel like I would put Hardened Shield higher.
fair enough.
Yeah,
I think B, but all right.
Is it
Fine.
better than heal?
Well, let's compromise at C because I want it on D.
Yeah,
and you
that's
want
fine.
it on B.
Speed. Interesting changes to speed.
Speed is interesting.
Speed used to be what? Oh, it was back when it was turn based.
Yeah,
and it didn't really make sense.
Yeah, it based on the time bar, right? It wouldn't have made sense, so it has to be changed here. Basically, though, it is a move, but gives you 500 initiative back. So basically, it only costs half a turn to do it, and it gives you 20% haste.
40 ticks. So I have the alchemist up. So a swiftness potion is gain 90 speed for 50 ticks. We're using two different
speed. What does that mean?
Yeah, we're using two different forms of measurement there. There's no percent there. It's just plus 90 speed.
They said that somewhere what haste meant.
What do the box get for haste? What do the demon box get? Is it 20% haste or is it more than that?
I mean, that sounds kind of accurate, but
yeah, but theirs is sporadic based on the move. It's hard to
not
like a static thing they're putting on. Well, I guess it is just for a shorter period of time.
So 40 ticks, it's probably about half your battle. And then but gaining 500 initiative on top of that is pretty big, where it's like you said, it's only half a move. It's like using a potion.
Well, yeah, think about double speed.
Yeah.
Gaining 500 initiative back and then throwing the other one on. Gaining another 500 initiative.
So haste is increased target speed. So 50% haste would result in the hero's speed increasing by 50%.
Yeah, so 20% is a good chunk.
So whatever that number is, whatever that speed number is, it's basically, it will be a percentage of that is haste. Again, I don't know how to compare that because I think it's a per hero thing. So
it seems like, I don't know. This seems like something that you can use on anyone and be happy. Like, is it going to be great on a knight? Probably not, because he's just very slow.
One of the interesting uses of speed, though, with your knights. What if you got that bleed? You've got that poison, or poison's not a good example, but you got that bleed, or you got that damage effect,
and you want him to go slow. You don't want him taking many turns.
Yeah, or you just want to stop your bleed as fast as possible. So you speed your knight to bleed quicker. Or you heal your knight, and now the bleed comes off.
Yeah, but why is that specific to knight?
He's just saying
your tank.
Tank would be the only one where you wouldn't want him going faster, hypothetically, because he's.
Well, I'm actually arguing the other point. You want your tank going faster to get the bleed to drop off and not.
Right. So the point was, this is good for everybody. It doesn't matter. Like,
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't see a scenario where I'm going to see a hero and be like, that's speed.
Right.
Unless it turns out to just be kind of shitty, which I don't know. It seems good.
Yeah.
I think it's going to end up being like an A-.
What?
You want to add a tier?
The seer move is only 5%, right? 5% haste is the seer.
Yes.
Like, yeah, go fast guy. So this is head and shoulders above that for half the battle.
It's a good point. You'd have to do 4 of them and they wouldn't even be able to overlap because they all have time on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it would change the flow of the game.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I remember hating the original speed, so that's wild. Yeah. All right. I think these two have to be kind of grouped together. Critical aim and death mark. I really like this critical aim. Well, on one condition, that the 35% critical strike, is that I'm assuming that is added to everything, including abilities that your hero might use, and not just the basic attack.
No, why would it just be basic attack?
I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of I'm nervous to that it might have a limitation on it for some reason. But if it doesn't, I think critical aim is excellent. I really like it. And not only is it, it's not excellent. There's a couple heroes where it might not be the most beneficial, but for the most part, anybody who's dealing damage, this seems like a great little move to it won't slow down your tempo and still will help you.
To me, it seems significantly worse than Deathmark.
Well, why?
Critical aim, you have to use it with a DPS hero. Deathmark, you can use that with your tank. You can use that with your healer, because it's being applied to the enemy and not a boost of yourself. And
you can use it essentially by attacking with 3 different heroes, as opposed to critical aim. You get that critical strike chance for 2 turns on 1 hero, so it gets used twice. With Deathmark, I don't know how many turns can you get in 40 ticks, right?
Right.
Say 3 turns, whatever.
Yeah. And also, so
that could be 9 hits.
Would it be the ticks of the enemy or your ticks? It would be the ticks of the enemy, right?
Ticks of the enemy.
If you apply Deathmark to a slow hero, you're probably going to be applying it to a tank.
Right.
Or
that's a combo right there.
You combine Deathmark with a stun or a daze or something like that.
Well, stun wouldn't do anything.
Well, so they're going to skip, but
it's ticks.
Well, if it's a slow guy.
No, but the skipping the turn doesn't matter. The same amount of ticks pass.
Right. But they can't.
I guess that's true. It's really not being applied to the hero. It's just going to be on the time bar as a status effect.
Yeah. So slowing it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That just means it's going to move less throughout those 40 ticks. But okay. But yeah, I don't know. To me, you have Deathmark where you can have many more attacks on it than that critical aim. Critical aim, you're capped at 2. You're capped at 2 with critical aim.
I'd rather have critical aim than the healer, the cleanse on a DPS.
Well, I mean, but you're making like a clarifying statement there, like on a DPS. You know, I think a heal has value.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would put critical aim. Can we go back to the board? Let's see what we got. Because it's all relative, right?
Right. No.
I wouldn't put it higher than C. I'm debating C or D in my mind. I don't think it's worse than Cleanse or Iron Skin. I would put it at the top of the C tier based on this, but I would also move one of those or both down.
Keep stuff clean.
I'm okay with that.
Deathmark better than heal?
I think so.
Well, so wait, go to the damage for Blinding Winds. Let's compare Blinding Winds, Poison Blade, and Deathmark, because I think there's a conversation there.
Aren't they all the same? Deathmark's 1.2.
No, it's more damage.
They're both 1.
So it's more damage.
Ever so slightly, though.
But it's the chance for more. It's
slightly.
It's more damage on that turn, and it's the chance for a lot more damage, as opposed to with the other 2, making them do something, making them have an answer, whether it be a potion, whatever. Right?
I don't know. Right? Cleanse.
It's damage versus action economy.
Well, no, but like there is no potion to counter Deathmark.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So with Deathmark, it's more damage potential.
Can we take a break real quick? Can everyone say hi to Bud?
Hey, Bud. Long
time
like
no see. A couple days.
Morning.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
So wait. So again, Deathmark, potential for a lot of damage. Blinding Winds, Poison Blade, making them do something. Right?
Just do something.
Making them answer.
Right. They have to deal with it somehow. Blinding Winds, obviously, I think more significant than Poison Blade.
The fact I can't put Poison Blade right here is
fantastic. Yeah, you've tried about 6 times already.
I bet if you zoom out, maybe. But don't do that. Yeah, I like Deathmark there. I like it in B.
I don't know. So these are the basics, right?
We might adjust. We might adjust when we get to the advanced.
I think we're gonna have to,
because yeah. Although I don't know, the advanced actives, I'm not terribly impressed. But
that's where we are. Exhaust. You're not impressed with exhaust?
The exhaust is great. Exhaust is excellent.
50%.
Way to go. 100, 0 to 100 real fast.
50% is rough.
It's a coin flip. Yep. But exhaust is power. Like putting exhaust on a character is powerful.
So I
versus where
is it? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it now, but I was in Void Hunt channel and I asked Hubert for the definition of exhaust because it was different than I remembered.
Mm-hmm. I think first
I'm
off,
not going to be able to find it, I don't think.
Our debate here is S or A, right? That's what we're debating.
Okay, I found it. Exhaust applies a 50% slow until their next turn, and then, of course, limits the actions on that turn that they can take. It also interrupts. But so if you recall, I don't know, repeating shot used to be the meta. I don't think anyone's used it in a long time. But that exhausted turn, you can only pass or basic attack. And the basic attack is 50%.
Yeah.
So it applies a 50% slow until their next turn, and then limits that turn.
The problem I have, though, is what if, based on where the timeline is, of exhaust is going to be so sensitive based on the match timeline of if you and your opponent are about to go one right after another, you're not getting any slow benefit there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're extending 10 ticks to 20 ticks or whatever. But if the other hero just went and you put exhaust on them now, that could end up being a huge move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sorry I just blocked you, guy, but
that's happening.
J-Dub.
Sorry,
J-Dub adds, you can also use potions while exhausted. Very good point.
Yeah. But I mean, that happens all the time, I feel like, especially in the PvE now that we're talking about, of like the mama boar. You know, you taunt it, but it's like the timing is poor. So like you're limited. Your team has a limited time at window to hit that while it's taunted and stuff like that. Like messing with the time bar makes some of these moves so much more significant. You know, I mean, if you hit the exhaust the right way, you could win, I feel like, in a PvP. So I mean,
but it's 50%.
50%. That's
and it's time bar dependent.
Mm-hmm.
It's dependent on where you're. I mean, it always interrupts, right? So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, 50% of the time it interrupts.
Right.
But that slow effect to get the full value of it. So the only like repeating shot where you use that and then you exhaust yourself, that's the maximum exhaust effect.
Right.
Doing it to yourself is the
at the end of your turn, it happening.
Right.
Yeah.
That doing it to someone else will never be as much as when they do it to themselves.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of hate it.
I really don't like the 50%. I still think it's incredible. I think I'd rather have it than a lot of the basics. I
think it's like here-ish.
You think it's not? You think it's in C and not B?
I think
you want everything to be B plus.
Basically, yeah.
I was planning on putting it in B, and then I saw heal, and I think I'd still rather a heal than exhaust. Because 50% of the time, all exhaust it's a move.
Right.
It's a 1.2 times move.
Yeah.
And I would also say I don't know how much I would trust it because you're using it in a time when you need to use it, where you need to affect change on the battle.
Right.
And 50% of the time, you're not going to. So it's a big swing towards your opponent.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
50% of the time, it's going to be an A. And 50% of the time, it's going to be a C.
I would argue D, but
yeah,
misses. It hurts you. It slows you down. It's a waste of a turn.
Right.
Well, it's not a miss again,
it's
or I mean, all of these could miss, but it's a basic attack.
Dace. I like Dace.
Yeah, I like this.
Solid.
Yeah.
I'd
I
put
think
it.
it's a B.
Would you rather a hero be dazed or blinded?
Blinded.
And they're both 80%.
Blind doesn't interrupt, right?
Daze
Uh,
does.
I mean, they might do their channel with blind, so like you can
they might
argue.
miss.
They would miss it. Yeah. I still would rather blind, I think. Because also blind lasts forever. Like, unless you fix it, you know?
Sure, but Daze has the interruptibility. And it slows them down.
I still think this is a B at a minimum.
Yeah, I think it's either here or there.
I'd be okay with it being above Poison Blade. I kind of want to put it A, but I'm okay with that.
I mean, I like this. I like Daze a lot here.
Yeah.
The
So-
80%
but
chance, I feel very good about that.
it is 1.2
Guys,
times.
by the way, read the ability when we started, because I don't think we've been doing that. And people like I just listened to podcasts.
I don't know how to read though.
Ooh,
I'll read
Maddie,
it.
can you do it?
Yes.
That's good. Mark's guy's the numbers guy.
Excuse me? Who's Mark?
Ugh.
All right. Explosion. Amnesia 4, which is very interesting. We need to talk about that. Channel 800 initiative, deal 1.5 power damage to target enemy, deal 0.7 power damage to each other enemy. So the first time we're seeing an AoE, very interesting. Amnesia 4, that only would apply if you have somebody with double explosion. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. And then we're also seeing a channel here, which I don't
Channel in here?
love. I do not love that there's a channel. 1.5 power is not that huge. I'm not going to lie.
So
Getting
what-
the AoE is nice. I like the AoE to the other two, but
Hey Maddie, how big of a number is 1?
like,
All right.
only
This
like
is
the-
more
What is
math than
1
I signed up
compared
for.
to 2? 1.5 is half weighted 2. It's an extra 50% damage.
yeah, but
I feel like that didn't need to be said so condescendingly.
yeah, I was very confident.
Well, he said the same thing about 1.2.
Yeah, but guy, there's this amnesia and channel added. Like for the channel and the amnesia, this should be way stronger. This should be way stronger, in my opinion. I'm gonna ignore the condescension in your voice.
I'm still laughing at the way he said that to you. I would leave the pod if he talked to me like that.
I think this is a miss here for me. I don't want explosion.
So, all right. Warrior Berserker, right? Good basic attack. My warrior hits for 100 damage.
Right, yeah.
Now it's going to hit for 150 and then 70 to each of the other people there.
Yeah, that's good.
800 initiative still. I mean,
That's a
every
long
other one
campaign.
of these moves. I think every single other one of these moves. That's the only one with channel, right?
What's
Right.
what are the typical seer and archer channels?
They're
I
like
wanna say-
Warstone is
full-
800.
they're full turn almost. Yeah, 800.
Warstone's 800.
Yeah.
Well, wait, since we were talking percentages before, this is 80% more time to do this damage.
It's 2 turns basically.
Like what, especially when we're trying to consolidate damage. You're trying to take someone out. Now we're spreading it. Why wouldn't I just do 2 basic attacks with that warrior?
There
do
you go.
200 damage to one sword. What's better, 200
Hold on.
damage to one place?
Guy, give this back to Guy. What are 2 basic attacks versus 1 basic attack? I don't understand why. I don't like this at all. I really think.
So,
Think
and then
of-
also, go.
Think of the seer codex. Think of
I don't
the
like to
other
think of the
channeling
Zero
moves.
Codex.
I don't know what to think
of-
about.
Explosion will be an interesting play for the don't do damage now.
Well,
do
what's the
damage
archer tree? The archer channels.
later. The
I can
archer-
channel for a turn and do like I don't know what, like 300 damage. Why am I
Yeah.
wasting my time with this?
Yeah,
And that's the other thing. We were talking using a warrior and 100 basic attack as an example. Now do it with, you have this on a priest, it's useless.
Yeah.
You have this on an archer even. Like what's an archer's base? 80? Like, are we
Yeah.
getting excited for that? Is that getting us out of bed?
No,
I'm not getting out of bed for explosion.
no.
yeah,
not doing it.
120 versus 80. Now, this is assuming power equals basic attack, right?
Yeah.
I think
Is
it's
that
a little
true?
different with spell
Attack
or
spell.
basic spell.
Yeah.
But like, all right, so priest and seer basic attacks, are those spell
Yes.
or are those physical
Those are
damage?
spell. Their spell, their magic.
then
They're,
then
those
they're
are the.
weak.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it.
yeah, I agree.
So I was kind of excited about explosion, but
This
I
is
think it's
in my mind. This is a
how
D.
did cleanse get to D? Cleanse. Oh no, cleanse.
You're the only one with control.
I saw cleanse and thought heal.
What are we
Why
gonna
is
have the
explosion-
biggest
Why is
C tier
explosion
ever?
in C? Why is explosion in C? Thank
You
you.
got overruled. Put it
Thank
ahead
you.
of cleanse. That'll make you feel better.
At least.
Hardened shield. Hardened shield. See, I can't read.
I don't know. I think Hardened Shield on the right hero is a good move.
Natty, read the description, please.
Yeah.
Oh
come
yeah,
on, man.
reduced damage taken by 30% for 40 ticks. So interesting here. This is just reduced damage. There's no qualifiers there, so it is all damage. Versus Iron Skin was just physical damage. 40 ticks is nowhere near as long. I still think this is I don't know. It's usable. I think is what I'll say.
Good point.
I-
Good code grade.
I guess C.
Hardened
I guess
shield.
I'd rather.
If you have it
Yeah.
on a tank,
Yeah,
it's very good. Like that could be like a turn 1 tank thing.
I agree.
There's a couple warrior moves that are like basically hardened shield that are a good chunk of mana to do.
Those Knight has a whole track that's this basically.
Yeah, Knight and Warrior both have moves that can protect the row behind them too. I mean, if you're going to be doing something like that, having a hardened shield to throw on there, helpful.
Yeah. As I apologize, we did all yell at each other at the same time there for a minute.
All right, I'm not going to have a Mythic Squad member telling us about yelling over each other. And also, good time to announce I will be on the Mythic Squad Thursday night, so that'll be fun.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I'll have to stay up for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next one. There's not much to say about Hardened Shield that we didn't talk
We're
about.
on to the elites.
Stun. It's an 80% chance. Deal 1.4 power damage to target enemy. 80% chance to stun target enemy for 1 turn. This is great.
I'm going to get another beer. You guys talk about stun for a minute.
I want this on everybody. I think this is an A, if not an S, right? I think at this point we can do that with elites. I mean,
You might be right. It might be S tier.
it's just there's no scenario where I don't want this as in my heroes, as an option for my hero,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, it'll work on anyone.
It's always good.
It's always good. Stunning the opponent's a good thing. You can stun any of the opposing heroes.
Yep.
It's good to stun a tank. It's good to stun a healer. Of course, you can stun a DPS. And it's 1.4 power.
Of it, 1.4 power. Yep.
Is almost 1.5.
Yeah. I almost, yeah. If I'm going into a PvP match, any hero I would rather have stun than anything we've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just
I think that's the definition of S tier.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys?
Anything added there?
No, you guys did great.
Yeah.
Next
Next
up.
S tier stun. Did you mention the interrupt?
And interrupt, yeah. Again, I mean,
Cool.
stun's just perfect. Yeah. Next up,
Ooh, interesting counter by Sir Worm. Stun can be removed by a D tier move. Cleanse.
Not till after the.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, if you want to waste, if you're gonna waste your cleanse on that, that's fine. Second wind, restore 50% of missing hit points. Each ally is healed for 75% of that value. If this is on your paladin, on your tank, it might be an S. If it's on somebody else,
Well, that's the whole point. You heal your hero with the biggest HP loss.
right. But if this is on
No.
a class cannon, it sucks.
I don't think you can use
Yeah.
it on whoever you want, guy.
No, yeah, it's just the
Well,
hero
it's
that
just
it's on.
the missing each.
Yeah. So if
Itself. Got
if
it.
it's on a wizard with no hit points, oof, it might not be worth wasting the turn.
That's a good point.
But again, if it's on a paladin, if it's on a knight, it's an S in my opinion. If
Seems silly to put it under speed though.
on the wrong hero, this could be a waste of a turn. Yeah, it is an AoE heal. I get that. So I mean, it's definitely still good.
So
But-
think of this: of you've got your 1,000 hit point tank, and you've got your 500 hit point, glass cannon.
Yeah.
If he's missing 300 health, that's a 150 heal, and it's only 125, 110 for your other two heroes.
On the tank, though, it's going to be significantly higher.
Let's not overcomplicate this one though. It's a team heal.
It's a team heal in a bad situation is 100 HP for everyone, which is kind of like your circle of healing.
No, those are usually pretty better than that.
I mean,
those are usually 200-ish on a good priest. Those are 200 plus.
You're about to talk up your wisdom priest, aren't you?
I mean,
you look like you were setting up for that.
It's insane. I don't even need to say it, but
yeah,
Bramnet can heal. Okay,
listen, it's a team heal. It could be on a hero that doesn't usually have access to healing. Yes, there are some criteria for it. Compared to everything else we saw on this list, I think it's at the top. You want to put it A, fine. I would put it S. I would put it S. I think S.
But if you guys both say S, then fine.
I would put it, if you're going to leave it on A, I'd put it above speed, definitely.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, it feels silly to be behind.
I mean, also it's an elite. Yeah. Like it's a higher.
Right. But like in the same breath, I do think there's a chunk of heroes I'd rather have speed on than second wind.
Agreed. I think
Mega saying low H. Mega saying low HP second wind heroes, thumbs down. Like, sure, yeah, agreed.
Right.
There are bad situations for it. I wouldn't love that on a thief. I wouldn't be super excited to like roll that on a thief.
No.
Yeah, this is the anti-explosion.
It's the anti-explosion, and I think the cool thing about traits in total that we haven't really talked about is you can really build your teams around your traits.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to it. The big guy here, Resurrection. I don't see how we can't. I don't see how we can't put it.
It did get worse. Do you want to discuss that?
Was it originally 50%?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. It still brings a dead hero back to life. It's a skill that is incredibly valuable. Even if it's 25% max health, like it was better at one point. I don't care. It's still the best move in the game.
Do you want me to make my case for why it's better than Second Life now, and you guys can argue with why I'm wrong?
There's no. I would love to hear it. There's
no. You were about to say there's no possible without hearing it out. There's no possible
there's no possible way you're gonna convince me Resurrection's better than.
Well, you're a stubborn guy, so convincing you is not my end goal here. If I can convince some of the chat,
all right, let's hear it.
Some of the more open-minded folks in the chat. Mm-hmm. Second Life, great, right? You don't, because we all talk about action economy. You don't have to use action economy with Second Life. You do with Resurrection. But your opponent knows your skills. If I'm going to kill a Second Life hero, if I'm in a competitive match, like, we're talking top tier competitive, we're playing like a game of chess here. If I'm going to kill your Second Life hero, knowing that it comes back, I'm not going to do it when you have 3 straight turns after me, right? I'm not going to do it if I'm on the time bar and then it's your 3 turns and then I get to go again. So you're going to be able to heal it up full and nice. I'm going to do it at a time where I go next and probably go after that, where I have like a combo rapid onslaught waiting, right? So that I know I'm just going to be able to hammer it down once it comes back to life. I get to trigger your Second Life. You don't control that Second Life. I control that Second Life. Do I even have to show how that relates to Resurrection, or you get the?
I understand what you're saying, and then in that sense, you have control of that other life with Resurrection.
With all passives, well, not all, but with the trigger passives, not to say they're not good. I think they're still very good, and I think in a lot of cases they're better than the actives. But I think there's something to be said for the fact that your opponent dictates when it gets triggered. Whereas Resurrection, I don't have to. We're all going to want to resurrect the second he dies. Like that,
Sure.
we're going to have to fight that impulse because
Yeah.
it's going to be, but you can use a past turn. Like say it's my guy dies, right?
You
Then I
play
have
the
my next guy who has resurrection. Then your 2 guys go. Maybe I pass turns. Now all of a sudden it's my guy, then another one of my guys, and the resurrected guy will get his turn too.
Yeah.
The goal is to heal him up as quickly as possible.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't see how in those few scenarios that immediately makes the active better than the passive. I think you're right. Sure, in some scenarios in a battle, maybe there'll be times where you have more control with resurrection, but by default, like you're already talking about how you're going to have to work specifically to beat the second life hero. Like that's
Fair.
You have to already be planning that ahead of time. So I still think that the second life has just more implicit value in general. I understand what you're saying, and yes, there will be some like gamesmanship happening when you're at these high level battles with heroes that have resurrection and second life back and forth,
Right.
and like sure, right, you're not wrong, but like I still think that basic ability that this guy comes back to life after he dies, like that just makes him more valuable.
Something I'll say for the second life side is the idea that resurrection can go a whole match without being used.
Right.
If they hammer down that resurrection
they kill that guy first. Yeah.
hero first, you don't use it. You can't have a match where second life isn't used. It's always going to trigger.
Yeah.
So fair.
Wait. Well, sorry.
I don't know that resurrection's better than second life. I'm starting the conversation.
No,
I think
it's interesting.
I think it is a conversation. Guy, anything
all right.
to add?
Yeah. Well, Guy, any thoughts on resurrection versus second life?
Sorry, me and Maddie got talking. And
That's fine.
I'm staring at this board. And
what do you think? What do you think of our tier list?
Well, that's why I want to look at this now before we talk about the passives.
Yeah. So it's the weird thing is I think I would always prefer resurrection over second wind. And like
Sure.
that's the main thing that's jumping out.
I don't know, man. Well, yeah, no, you're right. No, I would.
I don't know. I will say that chat hates our tier list. There are multiple angry comments. SI's bragging about how he's going to do a better one to run it on his show.
Probably
Into that. Really rude comment, personally, I think. But hey, maybe he's right.
I'll tune in and I'll say ours was better in the chat.
I think Just left. Just was saying, "Oh, there he is." Actually, good timing. He made a comment earlier, and then I didn't see him, so I thought we just drove him away with it. Oh,
yeah,
we're getting approval. All right, cool. Forget everything I said in the last 10 seconds.
I mean, stun resurrection. I think I'd want. I think I would still want resurrection first ahead of stun. I don't think that matters though. But
yeah,
I think maybe I would like second wind on specific heroes ahead of stun. Otherwise, though, I got no problems with how we did those.
Second wind on a tank definitely gets
exactly up. Yeah. But also stun on a tank, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that.
I think days could be higher. I think I would put days at the top of the B tier. Oh, no,
yeah.
Guys changing the lettering.
Come on, get out of here. Yeah. Man, the exhaust at 50%. Why did they do exhaust at 50%? Why do you think they made that move? Because is exhaust that powerful of a status that the
I don't know. Like maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it is. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Making it
50%.
It hurts.
How many times?
I know.
How many times have you? And same question in chat. How many times have you used Final Blow, the warrior ability?
Almost
never. Yeah.
Why? Why not?
The odds.
What feeling does it elicit from you?
Because when it misses, it's like this is a waste of a five.
It's like I'm an idiot because I just did a 50% turn and was hoping that it was going to hit.
Yeah. And it's like you look at your like knights and your warriors with like an 80% or a 75% chance of basic attack. I feel like they miss every single time.
Right. No, and again, I think I'd rather do less damage on a better odds of hitting. Almost every time, I think, yeah.
Yeah, give me a daze over the exhaust. Like, when it hits, when exhaust gets applied, you can do damage because you can then package it with a daze. You get that exhaust to land. We've all done that to Mama Boar. you're trying to daze it as quickly as possible.
The days on
It feels so good. It's like I have 10 turns before your next turn. Like
you do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's quickly. I do want to hit and also I know
Hope
Worms
makes
alive.
a good point. Many things
That is
can't deal
interesting.
with.
Yeah, but
exhaust is one of them.
I know, and exhaust might be that powerful, but like the 50%, I hate it. Quickly though, I just want to do this very quickly. Deathmark and Blinding Winds. They were the first ones we talked about. Do you guys still feel good with them?
Poison Blade and Blinding Winds, you mean?
What did I say? Sorry, yeah. Poison Blade and Blinding Winds is what I meant. Do we still feel good with them where they're at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Critical Aim's the only one that jumps out of like, I can't believe it's that far down. But then you look at everything above it, and it's like, I agree with everything above it.
Yeah, I personally want heal to be lower, but I don't. I think Hardened Shield could be at the top of that tier. I think Exhaust and Hardened Shield could probably both be ahead of heal.
I
don't know, but heal has a lot of utility. In the end, this is very hard to do.
Yeah.
Because we're comparing very different things.
All right, so wait, you change it to WoWy, probably should use these should be better. Heal is S tier and go away.
I like it.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. I think we all agree. The one big thing we want to agree on is like explosion, man. It's a miss. Explosion is such a miss for the. Anyways, let's move on to passive.
Just trying to chime in on explosive.
Exhaust.
Explosion.
Yeah, I mean if it hits, but like, yeah,
he's saying exhaust, not explosion.
Yeah, if exhaust hits, sure, but like
it's very good when it hits. If it were 80%, I would love it because it is very good.
80%, it might be broken. You know, I'd say 75%. 75%.
We agree. I'd even take. I'd take 65.
Yeah.
Can we make a deal? Let's.
Yeah. I know. Workhorse mentioned, or Workhorse was in the chat earlier, right? He might have gone to bed. I know he goes to bed early.
Yeah, we didn't say hi to him. We should have. Hopefully, he's back.
All right. Let's go to passives. Passives. I think that's what he said. Like he said that an hour ago. All right.
Wait, real quick. I want to at the end. I think we sum it up by answering this question.
Do they slap?
Not yet. We have to go because Skiller's getting worried. Starting to feel like traits don't slap.
Hey, they might not.
Let's after this.
What have I always said? In my multiple incursions with Mythic Squad, I remain the same. I've said stats
are not going to be competitive in PvP.
Stats are more important than these traits. But all right. All right, we'll start with the top here. Duelist.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
It's a big for me.
C, yeah. I don't know. There's a few rare scenarios where like there'll be some fun highlights where it's like, oh, Duelist won it for me. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
When you get into the situation that you need, you're gonna be glad you have it. Like one-on-one, anything could happen. Like, yeah, it's gonna be nice to have an extra 20%.
Yep.
So wait. Hold
to your point earlier of your opponent gets to control this 100%. Now, if you've got a team where somehow you've wasted all of your heroes having a passive traded duelist, that would be interesting.
So like no matter what, you get this little bonus.
Yeah.
Wait, scroll down real quick.
What?
More? Giant Slayer is 20%. So baseline. I'm just trying to baseline between abilities.
Got it.
Giant Slayer is 20%. Clutch and Duelist are both also 20%. Obviously, there's a little slight difference there with the conditions, but yeah.
Well, that's different for Last Stand. We'll talk about that.
The other thing with Duelist is it will never last a majority of the match. It's always going to be a finite.
And maybe we'll adjust as we keep going on here. Just made a comment. This might be Duelist might be D. It's almost never gonna matter.
You're not gonna get argument if you want to put it there.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll adjust. We'll adjust as we go. Let's talk about more of them. Clutch is one. They adjusted it ever so slightly. So Clutch was formerly 30% boost on damage when you're below 30% damage or 30% hit points. Sorry. They changed it a teeny bit here, so it's less damage and it's below 25% hit points. I still think it's a fairly solid one. I like this on a lot of different heroes, especially ones that are supposed to take damage, like the Berserker. Like Berserker,
yeah,
gets a bunch of bonuses when he like loses damage according to a couple of his moves. So I like this one.
Clutch will be fun with your what the hell's the move the warrior has? Your immortal or whatever, where you can't die for a couple turns. Is it immortal? What is it?
Right.
Isn't that a level 10?
Yeah, it's a level 10, but like your locked in battle one. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there's a trait, there's a warrior skill that triggers that you can't die for 2 turns.
I thought it was Berserker. It takes you to 1 HP and then you can't die.
Berserker.
That's Berserker that it takes you to 1 HP, but Warrior of like you have it right now. That they cannot die.
But why are we talking about? Let's talk about the first 5 tiers here. It's gonna be 25 years before the level 10s come out.
I think I'm nervous to put this one in A because I think we're gonna have better ones later. So I think B is solid for this one.
It's probably gonna be a B minus.
Yeah,
I'm okay with B. One thing I will say, give it to me on. You said it with Berserker, but the reasoning, like, give it to me on high HP because it's 20% or 25% HP. 25% HP of 2,000 on a Dread Knight is very different than 500 on a Wizard. You can have that clutch active for longer. And again, when it's active, if you can keep it active, it's essentially Giant Slayer.
Yeah, but I think that means. Well, never mind. We'll get to
it's hard to keep it active.
But
you down on Giant Slayer?
Anyways, Foresight, 3%.
Moment of silence.
Yeah, this is kind of rough. This is pretty low. I didn't think it was going to go this low. I knew it was going to be lower than the 8. I think 8 is what they originally said it was. I was really hoping for 5. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm disappointed, but I still think it has value. You're
gaining it to your hero's existing evasion.
Exactly. It still is good.
Hero.
Yeah. But it's so little right now.
Yeah. I still think it's fine. Yeah.
What are you putting it at, though? A B?
8% is a lot better. Let's just get that out there. When you compare this to equipment that adds evasion, 3% or 6% if you have double, and that's kind of thing we didn't mention about the passives, that like a lot of this changes when you have double. It compared to secondhand pants, right? The evasion pants. 3 is very good. I think it goes up to 5%, but the amount that are even over 4%, I think there's like 5 pairs of them out there.
Yeah.
Not a lot. So it's essentially a piece of equipment. Like that's if someone's going to put evasion pants on, Foresight's just as good.
Yeah, and you don't have to waste your equipment slot for it,
The Feather Duster, I mean, there's some people out there with 8% evasion, shout out Joss, but for like a 6%, a double Foresight is going to be more than most Feather Dusters.
Right.
I don't love it, but like I think we're all kind of looking at it differently because it used to be 8%.
Right. It still is very good. Like it's still, especially double Foresight, which I know at least the 3 of us, we've talked about this. Like we look for heroes with double Foresight. And I know Wowie and I talk about it too. We look for heroes that have double Foresight. So, getting that 6%, I still think is a massive boost in terms of a hero with 2 basics. Go, Guy.
I'm just doing math. 3 times 3 is almost 8.
3 times
half a turn and gets 3x speed pants. Good point.
Yeah. All right. I think all of these I want to do in a bunch. I think
Wait. Where? Hold on. Where'd we put foresight?
B.
B plus. Everything's gonna
All-
end up in B. By
All
the way.
traits go here. Cool.
Yeah.
Which is going to be B. There's going to be a lot there. Yeah. All right. So these are all the same. They bumped it down to 35% for all of these. It was 40 originally. It's resistance to daze, resistance to blind, resistance to fear, resistance to silence, and resistance to poison. I think
I don't want to group them all together. I think there are differences.
how would you?
We can talk about them at once.
Yeah, I mean they're all going to be similar.
Oh,
I think
sure. Yeah.
daze is probably number one, followed by blind.
So I know we prefaced this with day one PvP, but these will be really interesting in your PvE fights. A counter to boars, a counter to box, a counter to all these regular game mechanics that you know you're heading into a daze fight or you're heading into a blind fight. And of course, if you know what your opposing PvP team has of like, you know, do they have dazes or do they have blinds on their side? You obviously want the counter of it.
Well, I mean, same conversation of like the meta of what's happening will determine these.
Yep.
If fear is popular, if blind is popular, if you know, whatever's popular.
You're feeding into my point though. How can fear be popular right now? What moves?
Not right now. Right now it can't. You're right. Fear cannot possibly be popular right now.
Chatterbox, right?
Yeah.
Silence. How many moves silence? The knight has one.
Knight is a silence move, yes.
But the knight also has range of one. Unless you're putting your seer or your priest in row one, that move's not going to really work. So
no, it doesn't matter right now.
To me, you can't get silence right now. I want to put a D, chatterbox.
Sure. I see. Well, yeah, fine. But
we said for day one PvP.
For day one PvP, yes. Fine.
Are we missing any fear moves? I don't think so.
Not in no heroes can do fear. Is there a berserker? No.
Maybe.
Is there a berserker move with fear? Not in the first 5 tiers, I don't think. But so let's talk about the ones that are active. Daze, certainly. Blind. Are there any blind moves outside the traits? I don't believe so. And then poison. Poison, there's a berserker move. Why? But daze is significantly more prevalent currently with the 6 that we have.
Is anything getting above duelist? Yeah, they're getting above duelist. They're not getting above clutch, right?
I would put headstrong.
I put headstrong in B.
A lot of things can daze.
Yeah.
I would put it at the front of B. I think.
No, I put it in B. I don't know if I'm putting it ahead of anything in B, but it's in B, I think.
It's tough. I don't know if I'd put it ahead of foresight.
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather have foresight than headstrong.
Are we leaving duelist in C? We all seem to hate it a lot.
Yeah, we should probably
hear anyone say anything good about it.
I would push duelist down.
I'd rather good about duelist.
I would rather have any one of these than duelist. Any one of these 35% boosts, I'd rather have than
what about chatterbox and fearless?
Don't care. Yeah, I'd rather.
There's not enough of them. There's not enough of them.
I mean, I'm not moving them up in the tiers, but like I don't care.
So wait, what do we have left? Clear vision and stalwart?
Yeah,
I think so. They're fine as C tier.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I don't. Do you want to argue for a tier up for stalwart because we're going to have poison blades to deal with? We're going to have toxic heroes, toxic heroes.
Yeah.
Could it go at the end of?
But if toxic becomes popular, if that becomes the meta, then having that what's it called? What's the poison? Yeah, having a stalwart counter team could be the move to beat it. You know, that could be the anti-meta team.
I'm okay putting stalwart up to the next tier, but I think you need to move headstrong up a little bit too past clutch.
Oh, I don't care. Within the tier, I don't care. I don't know. Does that matter to you? You want to do the ranks individually like that?
No, we don't care. Whatever. It's stupid. I don't even care.
Why are we even doing this?
I thought that's what we were doing this whole time. I've been focusing on that.
You have a numbered list on the Yeah. I mean, I think these moves can have value if there
They're
is
meta dependent.
a meta. Yeah, the meta is shifting, and you have a lot of teams, and you have these teams where you can deck out your team with like, oh, blind is so popular right now, I'm going to put my clear vision team in. That's a very cool kind of thing if you have that kind of availability in your PvP, in your heroes. Like
That's a whole other discussion because
that's
I don't
again,
think
yeah,
anyone
that's a
has
whole
that.
different thing. That's like way down the road of what we will see, because especially doubling up any of these, that becomes almost, and that's a different conversation of like double. Like let's say blind becomes so prevalent that you have to have double clear vision to be competitive. Now it's like, do I want the double clear vision or do I want efficient? And you have to think about those things of like those comparisons. I think that's something that we'll be talking about. I hope we're talking about when we're making these like weekly decisions based on what the meta and what's shifting, what's changing. But right now, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to put these very high.
Zoom out a little bit.
Headstrong seems to be up there though.
Yeah, I mean days.
A lot of days.
There's a lot of days.
Yeah. And the other thing too of like there's no like it doesn't drop once it's utilized too. It's consistent and stays on your hero the entire match.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of the passives of all of these. It's just like you have it, I mean, obviously the trigger ones we'll talk about, or especially Last Stand, I think we're gonna talk about a lot, but these ones that are just automatic, that your hero gets this, resistance, they're great. I love it,
How do we feel about leadership?
Oof. I'm so mixed on leadership.
So
I'm down on it.
Heroes do an extra 5%. You got
Not all.
2 leaderships across
No, it's not all your heroes.
each ally.
So the other 2.
Right.
So most, I mean,
I think leadership. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like at most you're getting. I mean, it's hypothetically possible to get 15% from your DPS if you put it the right way. If one guy has 2, and then like your healer has 2, and your tank has 1, then your DPS does get the 15% bonus. But for the most part, the max you're going to get is 10% on any of your heroes, and it just doesn't feel great.
I think that leadership goes through the same thing Foresight does, where 3% seems bad.
Right.
Or
It's still
seems
good.
worse
It's higher than where you
used to have
at minimum, but
3% seems worse because we used to have 8%. Leadership seems worse because we used to have all 3 positions, and because intimidation does all 3 of the enemy positions. Shout out to T Heat on the Jewelers podcast. Right. He made a very good point. If you have a Giant Slayer hero or a double Giant Slayer hero, you should also have a leadership or double leadership hero in there too. Boost that Giant Slayer more.
Incredible.
That's something that just never crossed my mind. When he said it, I was like, oh, yeah.
All right. Yes, I was negative on it, but the reason I'm being negative on it is because I used to say this was the best passive ability. I said this multiple times in our podcast and other ones of, I think if you had a team with the full 15%, that was better than some of even the elite skills here that we're going to talk about a little bit later. I'm pulling that back. I still think leadership is very good. I think it's at a minimum a B, maybe an A. But again, there's a lot of kind of ifs and buts to make it that A. But I still think this is a very good.
There's no downside, right?
As long as you have 2 other leaderships wherever they come from, either one hero with 2, you know what I mean, or all 3 have 1 leadership. As long as you can get to that 15%.
Well,
this is an A in my mind.
Well, no,
but that's why it's fine being a B because.
But I don't think those conditions are fair, right? Because now I'm asking you in a vacuum, would you rather a hero have +3 evasion, or would you rather each of your other heroes has +5 attack? It's +5 attack for 2 different heroes.
Yeah, I'm going
better
with
than
leadership.
Foresight.
I'm going with leadership. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It depends on the evasion. If it's a thief or like somebody who's.
But like, all right. So put it against Headstrong. If I tell you 35.
Right. It's better than Headstrong. I agree.
that comparison was good.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like I was negative on it, but only because I was out of my mind excited about it.
Are you going to be that negative? Are you going to be that negative about the pirate when it releases because you were ahead on that and they burned you, the team?
They burned me so hard. I
just
think
make an apology video.
I did make an apology video. I also love that. I will say right now, now just thinking about it, I believe the only time in any AMA that they've showed other faces on the screen is the two of us. Right? Like, is that because they show because Bolon played my apology video, and then he played your like Mythic Squad counter video that you made. So like we're the only faces that have appeared in the AMA. But anyways,
interesting. We're gonna have to fact check that because I feel like someone else has been on. Maybe not on video.
Not their faces. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I still think leadership is great. Let's keep going because I might pull back on that. I might pull back on that based on
as I was saying, his face has been on. All right, good. All right, he's fair. In. We're gonna start a private Discord for the people
for faces that have been on. Faces of AMAs. Yeah,
the AMA faces.
Yeah. What's the next one? Efficient, right?
I think we're gonna have a lot of higher. Like I want this in A too.
I want this in A. I almost think I'd rather have efficient than leadership.
I agree. Name a scenario where you wouldn't want 10% less.
No, I can't.
Mana use or cost.
I can't. I think. Well, the only thing might be is Second Life. I'd rather have Second Life. But
what do you mean? Well, wait, hold on. I didn't say. Is there like? Do you want this more than any other move? I said, is there ever a case where you wouldn't want 10% less mana cost?
No, you're right. My answer to that one is no. Yeah.
Yeah, unless
Just and Jeremy both Berserker. Fine.
He always
sorry that the Berserker sucks. I'm not going to let that affect our rankings here. No, but it's true.
Versus what though? I mean, what would you rather have on the Berserker than the discounted mana?
Something. Well, but
I guess mana like Chatterbox. Would Chatterbox be better on the Berserker? I don't know. But
I have a mythic Greater Vigor Stoned Berserker that leveled up very well. Double Chatterbox.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the subclass though? All right, whatever. Let's move on.
I don't know. It's still bad.
All right. Intimidation. I'm ready to push it even further. I think this is one of the best passives. Well, I'll say this: if it's an S automatically for me, if you have a team that can get to the 15%. If it can get to the 15%, then it's an S tier. This is the best. It's just going to stop your opponent from being able to deal damage to you. If you do not have the full 15%, if you do not have 3 instances of intimidation.
Well, again, I'm going to use the same argument. I'm going to use the same argument because we all, ideally, and because they put that cap on it, it makes you want to strive for the full effect. So anything less than the full effect seems worse. But I'll tell you, like right now, I'll ask you: would you rather 3% evasion on a hero, or would you like each of the opponent heroes to do 5% less damage?
Yeah,
it's not even close. It's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, your argument for intimidation there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think it's S tier though? I mean,
what do we have left?
We still have Toxic, which, yeah. And we still have Second Life, obviously.
But Second Life's going to be an S tier.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. But I mean,
I think Giant Slayer and Last Stand are going to be the more interesting conversation.
Right. Yeah.
Put Second Life on there. I already explained why Resurrection's better, so check back for that. But no.
I mean, right. So Toxic versus Intimidation is very interesting, though.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know if it is.
I don't think Toxic's is good. I love Double Toxic.
I love Double Toxic. On the right hero, this is absolutely S in my mind. On Archer, on Thief, On Ninja, Toxic is at Shapeshifter, out of this world. Out of this world. On some other heroes, I'm good.
All right, so what we were talking about before, the fact that this is very specific, I think it gets knocked down a little bit because, yes, half or more than half of the heroes it's useless on.
Right.
You have this on Knight.
It's always going to be good. That's why we're talking about S versus A. Like, it's always good. It's always good. But
you want Toxic.
All right, wait. So scroll down. We'll play the same game backwards. On a Knight, right? A Knight that does single shots, does them slowly, does not get a lot of turns. Would you rather a 3% chance to inflict poison, or would you rather a 65% resistance to blind?
First off, where did 65% come from?
Is that not what it is?
It's 35.
You know.
It's 35. I think I want the Toxic chance. Now
you're getting like 4 attacks per game with your Knight. Maybe
double it. If it was the 70%, I would much rather have like 70% resistance to daze than 1 Toxic. And I know we can't really do that in the tier chart here, but if it was double any of, even Fearless, double resistance, 70% to fear versus 1 Toxic, I'm going with the resistance to fear, So I think I still think Toxic is an A.
Again, I love Toxic. I love double Toxic. I have many double Toxic archers and thieves and some monks. But it's the idea that it's not good on a majority of heroes. And I feel comfortable saying majority there.
No, I don't.
Out of the 6, all right, wait, hold on. Out of the 6, who's it good on? Warrior, Archer.
It's good. Warrior, it's good.
I'd stop there.
You're right.
Berserker,
it's good.
I like Toxic on a Berserker.
I was doing the right math. I think.
We're getting late in the show.
Yeah, we are getting late in the show. Actually, fuck. It's already they're fuck. They probably want to go live. We got to keep going. I honestly, maybe we should do another chart.
Worm's in chat talking. I know. Worm, are you guys going live tonight?
Yeah, they said they wanted to go live and do the exact same thing, but.
Oh, okay.
And I want to compare our charts. I want to compare our charts after. We'll do a master compare. Oh, that'd be fun.
Well, we got
SI, if you're still in the chat, all of us will compare. And Mega, I know he did this. We'll all compare our charts afterwards. That'd be fun. But I will say, I think we should do another one where we have entries.
We're not done with this one yet.
No. We'll do another one with double, double Giant Slayer, double Last Stand as and then we'll put those on the chart. Double efficient. I know. Yeah. Hey, we need content. We love content. Let's get to the next one. Giant Slayer. If target enemy possesses greater hit points currently than this hero, increased damage dealt by 20% to heroes and 10% to all their enemies. This was a pretty big nerf. I think it was
better.
What was it originally?
30?
No. Was it more than 30? It was only 30. It's not that big of a nerf then. But yeah, I mean, it's still good. Giant Slayer is still an impressive move. It's obviously you don't want to see it on a tank, on your paladins with huge hit points. This kind of sucks.
Anyone else 20%'s too much?
Too much?
I think 15's the sweet spot.
This was a nerf. What do you mean? It was 30%.
I agree. I think that Hubert needs to grow up and nerf harder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, clip that and send it to him.
All right. Well, don't do that. It was very rude of me. I shouldn't have said it. Let's all just take it easy. But no, I think that they find the sweet spot at 15%. And I've heard others say that. So I'm not trying to take it, but I think it's something that's agreed upon. Nothing to move. Yeah. Raph has a lot of double Giant Slayer archers.
I mean, I think this is the debate is S or A. Hard to say.
I'm fine with A.
I don't know. I mean,
Because
obviously there's some times where it's not going to be ideal, but it's still going to be good. Same sort of thing we were talking about with Toxic. It's not going to be ideal on these big, Paladin Knight, on these guys who have a ton of hit points. It's not going to be great. It's still just going to be good though eventually, because they'll get a benefit. Whether once they take some damage, they'll benefit from it. So, I mean, it's an S or an A. It's great.
No. You move that back.
I don't know what are you doing there? Like literally, like are you doing a meta joke? Like there is nothing there, but
it's interesting looking at it. I think I would rather Intimidation than Giant Slayer.
20% damage.
If I got the full 15%.
Oh, maybe. Again with that. Again,
maybe, but again, it's too much ifs and buts. I don't know. Also, we got to wrap up. We're getting too long here, so I'm going to move on. We're going to leave Giant Slayer where it is. We're going to leave everything.
Clear Vision back in D.
Yeah,
or C or whatever. I can't even tell what the hell's going on anymore.
Last Stand. Okay, Last Stand. They changed a little bit here. It gets kind of wordy. When this hero health drops below 30% from a source of damage, the damage is reduced such that no less than 10% of the hero's hit points remains. Then gain unstoppable 300% physical defense, 300% magical defense for 15 ticks. Can only occur once per battle per trait. Okay, so here's the thing.
Don't understand.
Yeah, wait. So sum that up for some of us that have been potting for an hour and a half, had a few beers.
Yeah. So basically, somebody comes in with this huge hit that was going to hit you below 30%. Well, I need to ask a couple more questions on it, but basically, instead of bringing you down to like a really low hit points, they're going to, at worst they can do is bring you to 10%, which means
that attack still does damage,
right? But also means like there's some attacks that might fall in between. And this is the AMA question I am going to ask on this, because I do think it's kind of weird the way this is worded. I don't quite understand. Does that mean if it brings me below 30 but not below 20 or not below 10, does it get triggered? But anyways, originally Last Stand said if it's 20% or more, you gain invulnerable, which was a status we have not seen yet. And now they've changed it to unstoppable, 300% defense, 300% on magic and physical. So, I mean, 300.
How many hardened shields is that?
I mean, it's a shit ton, but it's an insane amount of defense. Unstoppable means no statuses, no status effects, but it's only 15 ticks. It's interesting. I have questions on it because I don't quite understand what triggers this.
Are you going to write up an AMA question?
So
I am.
Make you talk a lot.
Yes.
Would you rather get dealt a killing blow and not die, or die and come back to life?
I mean, I'd rather. I don't know.
That's
actually,
fair. That's fair.
Because
wait, no.
this...
Can someone answer my question seriously though? How many hardened shields is that? 300. How many hardened shield is what?
Hardened shield's like 10%.
30.
Yeah.
So that's 10 hardened shields. You're applying 10 hardened shields.
Yes.
For
15 ticks.
Per turn.
All right.
Yeah.
Still.
Right. But Dewey, but like,
that's it.
If it doesn't,
nothing else past that.
But if it doesn't, so if it only was going to do,
if it was going to bring you to 29% health, the perks of unstoppable and the super damage resistance go in. If it was going to kill you, you only go to 10% health.
Well, so wait,
that there honestly makes me feel this is better than Second Life.
Yeah.
Can I
roadmap
a scenario here?
Well, sorry. Yeah.
Can I roadmap a scenario?
Well, no, I'm just saying attacks
You
that are
waited until I was
yeah, I don't care. Attacks that fall in between the 10 and the 30. So anytime an attack, it's not going to be maximum value if the attack would not bring you below 10%. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like maximum value is a hit. You're at 31%.
You get brought to 29, and then they just ignore you for the next turn, and life goes on.
There's ways to move around this one.
The gentleman from the other corner would like to speak.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I will take my time. Real quick. So let me lay out a scenario. I'm playing against you, your last stand hero. I hit it to bring it under the 30%. It gets all these buffs, and then I just leave it alone until the buffs wear off.
That's exactly what
control your passive.
Just said.
You did?
Guy and I were just talking. That's exactly what we were just talking about.
I zoned out for a minute there. You guys wouldn't let me talk.
He was so
I
excited
started reading
that he
Discord
wanted
messages. I don't know.
All I'm saying is there's ways to work around it. Like ideally in this scenario for Second Life,
you guys really just said that?
For Last Stand to be most efficient is an attack comes in that does 35% damage of your remaining hit points and you're at 31. It will stop that and bring you back to 10%. Like that's when it's like ideal. But if you're doing like little percentages of damage all the time and you bring them from 30 to 29, then the Last Stand does not get the full amount of value. It still gets value, but it's like you can kind of like a technique where you're like just chipping away little damage is how you beat this move. That's all. There is ways to beat it, is what the point is.
I don't think it's S. I think it's A.
I think it's an A as well. I think
Wrong A.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best in the A. I don't think it's as good as Second Life because I do think there's, like if you're facing someone who's doing the chip away technique of like little damage, Second Life is going to be a bitch for them to deal with, and Last Stand is not going to be as hard a thing for them to deal with. So,
versus intimidation just always applies, and Giant Slayer you're controlling, they're not controlling.
Yeah. Real quick, so we've done them all. And I know we want to get off for Sir Worm and Emerson and definitely head over there as soon as we get off or just leave now. Do traits slap?
Yeah.
Would you rather Giant Slayer or your Archer Barrage?
Well, what do you mean?
Like your top Archer moves, I don't even know what.
You said a passive though. You meant to say an active there.
I want the passives.
You meant to say an active there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, would you rather Second Wind or multi-shot?
Yeah. I mean,
you picked a heal now, so it just makes it complicated again.
I don't know.
But I get the point. What Coke was saying earlier. Are these that much better than an actual move that you have?
I don't know. The actives, I think it is a genuine debate whether they're better than the moves your heroes have. The passives, yes, I want them. They're great. They're going to help your heroes. Even the bad ones, even Duelist. Oof, man, it kind of sucks, but it's a bonus to your hero, So I want the passives no matter what. Yeah, the actives though, like I am generally going to debate whether I use them in battle or not.
The ones that have an effect will have a place.
Right. Yeah.
Stupid ones like Explosion won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I look at these actives. Every single one of these, I would rather do this than a basic attack. And how often are you basic attacking through a match?
You'd rather no.
Right.
Explosion.
I would rather do explosion than
channel. You don't want to be putting your guy into a channel. That's a waste of a turn.
It's an active trait that you control when you're doing that channel. And there's going to be a time in a match that you are actually going to want to. How many times a match do you delay your turn?
if we're comparing it to basic attacks,
PvE, and you waste your turn versus the boars because you have to, because you're avoiding certain things from
But so
triggering.
think about that
When
though. I
you're
think
in
comparing
battle,
it to
you're never
basic
gonna skip a
attacks is
turn. You're never
fair.
going to skip a
because-
turn in PvP. You're never going to skip
All
a turn
right.
in PvP.
all right, we got off the rails. We're arguing over things we argued about an hour and a half ago.
No, this
Maddie
is new
wraps up.
material. Comparing it to a basic attack's new.
No, that's what we did at the start of Explosion. Remember, I
Yeah.
said the warrior with 100.
I know.
There was a lot of math today.
It's all
Can
right.
we go to sleep
I think
after we watch Emerson and Worm?
yeah, we're gonna watch. This conversation is gonna continue with what in the DFK is this by
I'll argue in their chat. Let's argue in their
Worm.
chat.
I'll argue with you in the chat. That'd be fun.
That's
The
fine.
three of us just arguing, having a
So
separate
wait,
conversation.
Skiller wants to know: did traits slap or not?
I abstain.
I'm gonna discuss Thursday night when I appear on the Mythic Squad why they don't slap and why they shouldn't slap.
Wow.
And I'm gonna say it to Beeve's ugly mug.
He's gonna be so upset when you say that to him.
This
guy-
has been
Guy-
another
Hold on,
episode
hold
of
on,
Boxside Chats.
Stop. Guy,
Yes.
do trait slap.
I would rather use them than basic attacks. So there's going to be points in every match that I'm going to use them. But are they
guess that's an endorsement, but
game-changing moves? No, they are not.
that is the farthest away from slapping.
Correct.
This has been an episode of Boxside Chats. Everybody have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.